Dudes and dudettes, how are you guys? This is Chazzy and welcome back to What's the Damage, the good old WTD question mark here on my channel, the absolute longest running series on this damn channel ever. Because my first video ever was What's the Damage and I had no idea it would become such a long, lengthy, detailed playlist with over 130 freaking videos at this point, even though I have been largely remaking many of them lately, you know, because I have been taking the Hollywood route, because when you start to run out of ideas on YouTube, things can get a little tough to handle and get yourself a good chiropracticing practice on the thing that I have no idea what I'm even talking about anymore, but let's just get into it, huh? Today I'm going to be covering a topic that the last time I talked about was probably many years ago, like 3 or so years ago on this channel here, maybe even more, maybe like what, 3 or 4 years ago. This was way back in the day when my channel was very different. I don't even remember if I was already living in Sao Paulo or still in Rio. I'm pretty sure I was already in Sao Paulo, but still, the point is that it's a very old video, and on that occasion I actually covered what I consider to be the absolute worst ways for a human being to die. And recording that video, I still remember to this day, recording that video was a little painful for me, because in case you guys don't know, I'm very squeamish, you know. I don't really handle violence very well, you know, and I actually can get sick and even vomit, so it's really hard for me to take in anything that's too violent. So just the act of recording that video and you know, laying out the different ways for a person to die that would be considered to be the most painful ones, you know, just talking about it and imagining it, you know, and thinking about it happening was really, you know, messing with me. So I was actually feeling kind of woozy throughout that video. So today I'm going to be covering something completely different, you know, but I am going to be pulling from that a bit, so you can consider it kind of like a remake slash soft reboot to that video there. Look at me using Hollywood cinematic terms, eh? I'm even wearing the same shirt. I still do have that same shirt here, you know, and I'm still wearing the glasses, you know, but it's going to be a whole different thing, you know, with my whole different background and editing and stuff, you know. And this will be a concept vlog, so it's just me talking to you guys. There's just a background music, so no photos or videos, thank God, because today is going to be a very complex thing to talk about. Maybe the thumbnail already gave it away, but it is my personal belief that the absolute worst way that a human being can die is being buried alive. Now, here's the thing. There are a few factors to consider before you even get into this, you know, which right off the bat is claustrophobia. If you happen to be claustrophobic, if you have a fear of being in enclosed spaces with very little room to move around, then you probably will feel very uncomfortable watching this video here, just imagining it. But just chill, okay? Relax. You're just here with me watching this video here on whatever screen you're in, so you're not actually in a coffin right now. I'm just gonna try to make it like, just try to imagine what it's like, and you're going to understand why I consider this to be the worst way for somebody to go, you know. Now, if you are in a tight enclosed space with no immediate way out, you're gonna start having, you know, these problems with breathing, for example. And if you have, for example, asthma, you're probably gonna die within just a few minutes. But the idea of being in a small confined area with little room to move around, and as far as you know, no way to get out of there, is going to start making you have a panic attack. You know, your heart's gonna thump really fast, and you might start to feel a lack of oxygen. You know, it's very normal for somebody with claustrophobia to start having breathing issues when they are locked in the confined area, because that's what happens when you have a phobia. If you have a strong fear of something, then it will affect you to the point where you're probably not even going to be able to breathe properly, you know. I'm pretty sure I talked about that in my video discussing my own thalassophobia, you know, which is my biggest fear, which is of the ocean, open water, you know. But although I am lightly claustrophobic, I still would consider dying in the ocean to be much worse, but still, even though it's a much more open, wider area. But being inside a coffin, for example, you know, is really gonna bake your noodles, because it's really crazy to imagine that, you know, you are sitting there, you're laying down, you can't sit up, you can't stand up, all you can do is roll over here and there, and you have very limited mobility, and that is probably going to start, you know, it's gonna start to, even if you're not claustrophobic, you know, the idea of being, you know, in that position for long periods of time without being able to get out of that position is definitely going to start to settle in after a while, you know. Maybe it'll take minutes, maybe it will take hours, but even the person with the least amount of claustrophobia is going to start having a panic attack when they're in a confined area. I believe I would have one in probably just the first few minutes, because honestly, because I don't have claustrophobia too much. I do suffer from a little bit of it, but I do have anxiety and I have suffered from panic attacks before, so just imagining myself in that position is enough to make me, you know, get all fritzy and friggin' shake and rattle and go. Another thing that really racks my brain with fear is just imagining the lack of exposure to the elements, you know, no sunlight, no water, no, you know, fresh air, no oxygen, you know, and also there is also the fact of taking a little bit of water there is no water and also food. So when you're buried alive, you are going to let's assume, you know, as morbid as it is to say, let's assume you're buried alive and you have no way of being rescued, you know you're gonna die. Let's I don't know, maybe not you, but let's take a fictional person in this scenario, you know, let's turn it into the infographic show and try to understand what would happen. If you are buried alive and you are going to die, your fate is sealed. There are so many factors at play that are going to start, you know, even if you survive, you know, if you can get through the actual initial shock of being buried alive, it's going to very slowly take a toll on your psyche, you know. There's a good chance that you're gonna die more because your mind kills it in your actual body, because you are, let's say you're, I don't know, 6 feet under, you're buried under 6 feet, let's use the popular metaphor, right? You're buried under 6 feet of dirt under the earth, nobody knows you're there, nobody's coming to rescue, they don't even know where to begin to look for you, and you have no food or water in that coffin. So you're going to very slowly die of starvation and dehydration. That is, if your panic attack doesn't get you first, because there is also the psychological factor at work here. So just sitting there knowing fully well that you're not going to escape and you're going to very slowly die over many agonizing days is going to just murder your brain, you know. Your brain is I mean, how can you even sleep? You're definitely not going to sleep. Maybe you're going to go into a sleep-induced panic or something, you know, and you're going to fall asleep anyway. You're going to wake up and you're still going to be there. Your stomach is gonna hurt, you know. There is this thing that your brain, I don't know if you guys know this, but at least this is what science tells us, your brain actually starts to eat itself when it doesn't get enough sleep, you know. What exactly that means, I don't know. I don't know if it literally starts consuming itself and getting shorter, you know, and getting smaller, or if it just starts going crazy and making you hallucinate and stuff, you know. But still, it is very complicated. It's a really complex thing. So I don't think that if you're buried alive, you're gonna have you're gonna have a lot of disposition to sleep, even no matter how tired you are. Maybe the panic will keep you alive, but still, let's assume that you sleep for just a few hours. Maybe your stomach is going to keep you awake because you're going to be hungry. Your body is going to start to, I don't think that you can sweat if you don't have any water in your body, so maybe you won't even have any sweat to drink from, you know. I mean, people in that situation might actually urinate and drink their own piss, but I don't think it's going to be a good idea. But still, the point is, you're going to start to feel the hunger, you're going to start to feel the thirst, you're going to start to feel the pain from being in a laying position for many days on end. There's not going to be any sunlight, so no vitamin D for you. You're not going to have any of the nutrients that your body needs to survive, because human beings can actually survive for extended periods of time without water and without food and without bathing, I would say, you know. There is a general consensus. I think we can survive for longer without food and without water, you know, or maybe one or the other. I forgot which one it is. But the point is that being buried alive is a very painful way to go, man, because I think that for most people, if you have claustrophobia, you're dead within a few hours, maybe even a few minutes, you know. Like, forget the fact that you're buried under dirt and you're not going to have any food or water. I mean, you're in a coffin, you're claustrophobic, your own fear is gonna overtake you and kill you, you know. And those would be the lucky ones, you know, because if you don't have claustrophobia, then you are screwed, because you're going to go through the process of what I said. So it's not just the physical hardships, but the psychological aspect as well. How does a human being come to terms with the fact that they have been buried alive and they're going to die there? How do you accept the fact that you know you're gonna die and it's not even gonna be sudden? It's gonna be, because I don't know how painful it is to die of hunger, you know, starvation and thirst and whatnot. And of course, my dad is gonna call me right as I'm recording a damn YouTube video. If there's one thing I hate, it's being interrupted while I'm recording a goddamn YouTube video. I had to actually stop and go downstairs and do stuff, you know, and now I lost myself. I don't even know where I was exactly, but I'm gonna try to backtrack a little bit, you know. So there's like several minutes of elapsed time between these two cuts here. So here's the thing, being buried alive, right? So I think I was talking about the psychological aspect, you know, how, because if you are there sitting in a coffin knowing that you're gonna die, you have to come to, like, how does a person, I think this is where I was, how does a person come to terms with the fact that they are going to die and they can't do anything to stop it, you know? And I'm not entirely sure if it would be painful per se, but it would be very long and dragged out, you know. I don't know what it feels like to die of hunger or of thirst, you know. I don't know what it's like to starve to death, or what's the verb for this one? Thirst to death? I don't know. Dehydrate, right? Yes, dehydrate to death. Is that how you say it? I don't know. I have no idea what it feels like, but I'm sure it's not a pleasant experience, you know. Like, I can imagine your stomach rumbling and rumbling, and you yourself getting thinner and thinner and thinner as your body starts lacking nutrients, you know. It's probably a very, very, you know, unsettling thing to go through, you know. But you know, like if you compare it to, I don't know, being burned alive or drowning or being trampled or crushed or anything, I don't want to get into detail because I don't want to do that again, because last time I got almost sick talking about it, you know. But the point is that although being buried alive might not necessarily be the most painful way to go, it is the most psychologically damaging, that's for sure, because it's gonna happen. It's not gonna happen quickly, man, you know. Like I said, it depends on the circumstances, you know, like depending on what kind of person you are or how you take it, you know. But if you're claustrophobic, it's probably not gonna last too long. But if you're not, it's gonna be a very, very long and dragged out thing. It's gonna be really hard to go through. And I personally, if I'm being honest with you guys, I don't think I would wish being buried alive even on my worst enemy, because it's a very inhumane way for a person to go, you know. It's very, very scary, you know. And even though I think I've said this before, even though I don't suffer too much from claustrophobia, I still can't imagine how like insanely horrific it would be to go through this, you know. And let's just say even if you had the tools necessary to get out of the coffin, how are you gonna get out of the ground? Like, how are you gonna, like, if you're in a shallow grave, okay, but if you're buried 6 feet under, even if you can break through the coffin's lid, how are you going to, you know, dig your way up 6 feet of dirt, you know, which does harden over time. Like, if you're buried somewhere 6 feet under and then it rains, it's going to how can I say, the dirt is going to absorb the water and it's gonna harden over time. So it's pretty much gonna be like you're buried under 6 feet of cement, you know. So it's really crazy to think about this. So that is why I think that being buried alive is the absolute worst way to go, for a number of different factors, not just the physical, you know, not just the how can I say, the lack of physical resistance. You know, your body is going to start breaking itself down over the course of hours and days, you know. You're not going to eat or drink or bathe, so you yourself are going to start transforming, becoming thinner and thinner. And that's not to say all of the bacteria that's going to start gathering on you, you know. I'm not entirely sure how long it takes for maggots, for example, and other kinds of vermin to form in the body, but you're basically going to start, you know, rotting while you're still alive. It's going to start to smell in there. But I think only after you actually die is when, you know, the maggots will start to be attracted to your decaying corpse and start to come and eat you, you know. And like, maybe that's for the best, because imagine if the maggots start swarming and eating you while you're still alive, you know. I'm pretty sure that you're gonna probably see or feel or smell, you know, certain parts of your body starting to rot, you know, the unbearable stench down there. But if that's already going to be enough for maggots to form, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that they only come out when, you know, actually no, I think there is a way. There's this very old ancient torture method where they would put a prisoner in a coffin with just their head sticking out of their limbs, you know, and then I think they would cut them and smear honey and leave them in a closed area so the maggots could form it. So yeah, I'm pretty sure maggots can form while you're still alive, and that's just bro, my stomach literally just churned. Oh my god, I'm getting lightheaded here. Holy crap. But basically, this topic can just keep going on and on and on and on. You know, that's basically what it is, you know. There are just so many negative ramifications to being buried alive. You know, it's such a even though it's not necessarily painful, it is definitely agonizing. I don't think there is any worse death. I don't think there is a death more agonizing than being buried alive, you know. And I'm getting queasy just talking about it. I want to finish this up. I'm done. I've been recording for more than 10 minutes. I just want to wrap this up, you know. And hopefully I didn't repeat myself too many times here, because I got a little lost there when I was doing the thing. And there have been being buried alive is a form of torture or punishment, but sometimes people are accidentally buried alive and they actually die, and by the time that the people, you know, up top figure out what happened, it's just freaking insanely sad. But anyway guys, I really want to hear from you. I'm sorry if this video came out a little stinted here towards the end. It's because there was the distraction and I got a little lost, you know, and just talking about this topic is really complicated for me, but still, that's what it is. can't imagine the kind of animals that would get into that coffin. Do you think like worms and rats and stuff can get into there? I don't want to think about that. But anyway, so let me know in the comments below what you think about this. You know, if you agree with me, if you think being buried alive is the worst way to go, or if you actually think there's a worse way to do it. You know, maybe you want to go for the mummy route. You know, where you wrap the guy up in linen and put him in a coffin, and then, you know, throw a bunch of flesh-eating scarabs in there and then bury him. You know, that's definitely the definition of overkill. Let me know if you agree, disagree, and let's have a little debate down there. And if you happen to like this video as morbid as it was, please go ahead and give it a like, and also subscribe to my channel because I release videos every single day. And while you're at it, hit the notification bell too so you can know exactly what time I upload, and it's all good. Why am I bobbing my head? I feel like I'm dancing or something. Dancing, iguana, yeah, dancing, iguana, boom. This is Chazzy signing out for now, and as always, I will see you guys in the next in the next dancing video. Yes, roll the dancing outro screen.